Welcome to bikesrepublic.com. I'm Keshi Dillon. We are at the Grand Canary Islands in Spain to ride these two new bikes, Ducati Hypermotard 950, the Ducati Hypermotard 950 SP. We hit the mountains earlier today to ride the standard bike, and I tell you, it's still a proper hooligan. But if this thing is a hooligan, this thing is a beast. Well, you know, I'm not much of a slider, neither am I much of a a motard rider, but it seriously brings out the devil in you. It's still a proper hooligan, like I said earlier. Well, what's new though? Hang in there, and this is where I'll take you for a ride on the new Ducati Hypermotard. So, we rode the base Hypermotard 950 up in the mountains around Canary Islands, while else the 950 SP we rode around the track. Well, I can understand why, because the SP is more hardcore, is more track-oriented bike as compared to the standard base Hypermotard, but I'll tell you about that more later. Anyway, speaking about the base Hypermotard 950, the new 950, Hypermotard 950, is not just an updated version of the 939, but it is, however, all new from the ground up except for the trellis frame. Which is carried over from the 939 but with some modifications. In terms of design though, the new Hypermotard has gone back to its original underseat exhaust positioning. This is a feature that a lot of people liked, and there's just something sexy about underseat exhausts. But you know what? We are quite glad that Ducati was listening and put the seats back. However, if you are looking at changing the exhaust to a full-on Termignoni kit, you will have to be prepared to have side-mounted exhaust. But if you just don't mind swapping your cans for Termignoni kit, then you can keep those underseat exhausts, which we highly recommend. So anyway, the new Hypermotard also comes with an armada of electronics that do everything you can think of. Comes with 3 different riding modes: Sport mode, which gives you full power and edgier character with less traction for better slides; Touring, which also gives you full power but with a bit more docile, gentler character and a more electronic interference, where else we have Urban, which limits power and turns up all electronic safety systems like cornering ABS, Ducati traction control, Ducati wheelie control, and the whole lot. I did say there's an armada of electronics, didn't I? Well, there's a lot more actually. So these electronic systems are shared between both the 950 and the 950 SP. Now, you're probably thinking quick shifters usually just work for upshifts, but not here. It works for both the upshifts and downshifts. The sound is just amazing. It just pops and bursts and does everything that you everything that you expect it to. Just an amazing sounding system. So anyway, I was telling you earlier about this bike having a crazy amount of grip. While the frame helps, the electronic systems help, but the tires too play a huge character. This bike has more grip on you than your mother ever did. That's no joke, seriously. There were times when we were leading hard into a corner and just, getting on the throttle without thinking much about it, and we were half expecting a slide actually, maybe a tiny wiggle of the tail. Nothing, nada. This thing just gripped and went. This is because of the tires. The SP runs on Pirelli Diablo Supercorsa 3s, where else the base Hypermotard runs on Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3. I think these tires do not need an introduction. There's some crazy tires. Should make it a bit more nervous around the tighter corners around the track, but surprisingly not. That could be down to the Olin suspension on the SP. The base model runs on Mazzocchi forks up front and a Sox shock at the rear. Adjustable, of course. The Olin suspension also has more travel, but yeah, the SP, although longer, still incredibly agile around tight corners. I was telling you about the suspension. Well, the standard version has, with its Mazzocchi forks and the Sox shock, has 6.7 inches of travel in the front, and the rear has 5.9 inches. The SP's Olins, however, offer longer travel, 7.3 inches up front and 6.9 inches at the back. Now, stopping power. this thing has, the Brembos on this Hypermotard have some serious stopping power. It features Brembo M4.32 4-piston radial monoblock calipers with 320mm twin discs up front and a 245mm single disc at the back. ABS is standard of course, but it can be turned off. And now for the juiciest bit, the engine. Jing jing jing! The Hypermotard is powered by a 937cc Testa Strata 11 degree L-twin engine. This thing is not only lighter, it's also more powerful. It produces 114 horsepower and 96 Newton meters of torque, which is crazy amount of power for a bike this light, yeah? Ducati gave the engine more power. It's up by 4 horsepower and more torque, and torque available from as low as just 3000 RPM. You can just imagine how wild this thing is, going banging through the 6-speed gearbox. Yeah, I was telling you about the DQS Ducati quick shifter system on the SP. Well, guess what? It's available as an option on the base Hypermotard 950, and I'm telling you, spend the money, get the DQS, you can thank me later. So, how did Ducati achieve more power? Well, of course, lightening the bike is one thing. Lighter bikes equal to, better performance. But Ducati also achieved this with new pistons that bump the compression from 12.6 to 1 to 13.3 to 1. Higher compression, higher power. There's also a new exhaust valve timing and twin. I was telling you about the twin underseat mufflers about earlier. And there's also a new 53mm throttle body and a new ICU. So, on the topic of weight saving, the engine is not only more powerful than before, it's actually lighter, a full 1.5 kg lighter than the older engine. And Ducati did this through a new clutch, gear shift drums, magnesium cam covers and clutch and alternator covers. So yeah, this thing has some clever technology, it's lighter, more powerful, faster, and overall the bike is nearly 5 kgs lighter than before. The sitting position, well, on the new Hypermotard, the sitting position is slightly different than the old 939. It has a new seat and it has a new fuel tank design. So you sit more up front, and I wouldn't say it's comfortable. I found my bum actually quite sore after about 100 kilometers of riding on the standard 950. But I can tell you one thing though, it's much better than before. So, in conclusion, what do I think of these two new bikes? Like I said, it brings out the naughty in you. It's still, if you want a bike that you chuck around, whether you're going to push it down or pull it down, whatever, whatever your riding style, the Ducati Hypermotard is there for you. Well, if you're going to be riding long distances, maybe this is not the bike for you. But if you want a point A, point B bike, something that you can have fun riding to the office and maybe, hitting the mountains during the weekends, and maybe, a proper track bike, this thing is as versatile as it gets. The Ducati Hypermotard should be in Malaysia by, the second or the third quarter of 2019. How much? Well, considering that the last bike was about 73,000 ringgit, I suspect that the standard bike would be about 75 to 80,000 ringgit. Don't hold me to my word. Let's wait for the bike to be launched. Thank you for watching. I'm Kashi Dylan and this is bikesrepublic.com. Peace out.